Dear friends, welcome to this week's edition of the Inspired Parsha. This week we had an incredible privilege to do Parshas Korach. And like every Parsha in the Torah, there's so many beautiful, rich Torah ideas, especially in the Hasidic world. But I just want to focus on one pasuk, one verse. This is in Bamidbar chapter 16, verse 3. It says, Rav lachem ki kol ha'eda kulam kedoshim. You take too much upon yourselves, for all the congregation are holy. This is Korach talking. Korach was the one who really started this difficult, tragic rebellion against Moshe Rabbeinu, against Moses. And he says, listen, all the Jewish people are holy. We don't need really a leader to help guide us because we already have inherent holiness within us. So we don't really need Moshe. And isn't, to a certain extent, what he said is a little bit true. You know, every Jew we were born holy, right? We have a certain amount of holiness that is already intrinsic within us. You know, it says, the pasuk says, Am kadosh tiyoni, you shall be a holy nation. So what was Korach's real flaw when he said this? So what Korach's real flaw was, besides the fact that deep down he really wanted to become the leader, he wanted to sort of degrade Moshe so that he could one day be the leader, but really what his flaw is, yes, it is true. Each of us are born with a certain amount of holiness. But Rabbi Nachman of Breslov explains beautifully. He says that what is true holiness? True holiness isn't what you're born with. It isn't even the end goal. It's the journey to get there. That's what really brings true holiness. You know, so often we want to just reach and grab the crown and just throw it on our head, but really the greatest form of kingship is first serving, first being part of the kingdom, first working your way up to serve the people till you've earned the crown. Then you could put the crown on yourself. You know, holiness is not as much about the end goal, but it's much more about the journey to get there. There's an old parable of someone who's climbing a mountain, and someone goes by in a helicopter and he sees this guy climbing this mountain and climbing, and he still has a good 4 or 5 hours worth of climbing till he gets to the top. And he says to the guy who's climbing, he says, hop on in the back, hop on into my helicopter, I'll just give you a ride to the top. And the person says back to him, he says, you don't understand. I don't want to be at the top of the mountain. I want to climb to the top of the mountain. See, the true growth is in the journey. That was the mistake that Korach made. Yes, we're born holy, but it's the journey that makes us even more great, that makes us even more special. It's the journey, it's the striving, it's the yearning, it's the working on oneself, the struggles, the day in and day out. And of course, we need a leader to help guide us to get to that journey, to get to that end goal. And that's what Moshe Rabbeinu was. That's what Moses was. And by the way, this is why his punishment was, this is a beautiful idea from Rav Tzadok HaKohen. This is why his punishment was to be swallowed up in the ground. Why? Rav Tzadok HaKohen explains beautifully. He says, because what happens, what does the ground mean? With the ground, everything about the ground is all about a process, right? The ground isn't just born with, fully with blooming, with trees. Everything, it's with flowers, with grass. Everything grows. Everything takes time. Everything takes some nurturing, right? You have to water the grass. You have to water the plants, the trees. Everything. It has to. There's a step-by-step growth process till the trees and the flowers really fully bloom. That's the power of life. That's our mission in life: is to use what we have to grow. Rabbi Nachman says, the greatest spiritual danger is to think that we've already reached the goal. We're already at our highest level. It's only when a person knows that he's still far away and that he has to take those steps to get to that place. That's true growth. That's true holiness. I want to wish everyone a bracha, everyone a blessing. Know that be aware of the inherent holiness within you, but also be cognizant of the journey that we still have ahead of us. Strive to reach that goal. And of course, turn to leaders. Turn to great people who can help guide us along the way. I want to wish everyone here a wonderful Shabbos Kodesh. Thank you so much for listening.